A strong food system
ends hunger
and malnutrition in all its forms.
Provide us nourishment,
which promotes human health at every step.
To me,
a strong food system means
ensuring food security for all, even during a pandemic.
Para mí, un sistema alimentario fuerte significa
priorizar lo nutritivo,
family participation,
making markets easy and accessible,
for selling the produce I grow.
To me,
a strong food system means
no matter your race, no matter your class, no matter where you live,
everyone around the world,
all people,
both men and women,
even the poorest families,
Everyone
has access to healthy,
sufficient,
affordable,
local,
and nutritious food.
All year round, every month, every day of the week.
To me,
a strong food system
can end hunger
and malnutrition in all its forms.
Provide us nourishment,
which promotes human health at every step.
To me,
a strong food system means
ensuring food security for all, even during a pandemic.
Para mí, un sistema alimentario fuerte significa
priorizar lo nutritivo,
active family participation,
making markets easy and accessible,
for selling the produce I grow.
To me,
a strong food system means
no matter your race, no matter your class, no matter where you live,
everyone around the world,
all people,
both men and women,
even the poorest families,
Everyone
has access to healthy,
sufficient,
affordable,
local,
and nutritious food.
All year round, every month, every day of the week.
To
me,
a strong food system
can end hunger
And malnutrition in all its forms.
Thank you very much for watching that video interview. It is all about listening to every youth out there globally what exactly a food system means to them. If you are here, it is because you care. It is because you want to champion. It is because you're a food systems hero. On that I do. My name is John Agri, the founder and CEO of Hyde Consult, and I will be your moderator for today. Thank you very much. Now, I will run you through a bit of what we are going to do today. So we're going to have a brief introductions where we're going to highlight the purpose of why we are here and then introduce the speakers and the panelists to you with housekeeping rules. And we are going to hear from our wonderful guest speaker. She's been doing amazing globally and also in her country, Madam Jenna Green. She's going to tell you everything about Action Track 1 and what she's also doing with respect to food systems, agriculture, and youth voice. And there's going to be a presentation by Dr. Pulani, an amazing environmentalist, who's also going to share her perspectives on what exactly we are looking for, why the youth need to get involved with food systems, and the things we need to look out for. From then, it is going to be an engaging panel discussion where we are going to look at 4 critical areas, and it's open to everyone because once you are here, we don't see you as an observer, we see you as an integral part of the food system summit dialogue, and that is why it is inclusive and supporting of every person here. And then we'll have our closing remarks and we shall end today. So I will go straight to point. My name is John Agri, the founder and CEO of Hyde Consult. I'm also a food systems hero, and I'm with the United Nations Environment Program, major groups for children and youth as the operations facilitation team. They've been a wonderful youth constituency. We also have here the Yungo team is also here. We've got our parent body here, the major groups for children and youth who are also backing us proudly here, whilst we have the youth focus group for the UNFSS. It's been an amazing run, and I'm so happy to see everyone here. If I do call out your name, please do not be shy. Do not feel threatened. Do not feel it is because I want everyone here to be involved. Thank you so much, Caroline, for joining us. Thank you so much, Tilma. I see you, Jane Tanaka. I see you, Nandi, Chandel. I see you, Lord. And amazing, we've got Floyd Hammer also here with us, joining us all the way. He wants to look young and youthful. Amazing. Thank you so much for being here with us. And listen, thank you for being here. Ambassador Dr. Hassan is also here with us. Amazing people here. I'm very excited. So let's just get the show running. People, oh, great. We've seen Jana Green here with us. Amazing, always on time. And all the way from Nigeria, Olu Atosin Ogunsola, my brother. It is amazing to see you all here with us. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. So let's get the show running with our first introductions have already been done. So let's just move straight to point and bring in Jana, who is going to just share with us everything about Action Track 1 and what it means. Thank you very much, Jana. Over to you, please.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Food Systems Summit Dialogue discussing access to safe and nutritious food towards zero hunger in Africa. Hearing the perspectives of young people is a vital part of the Food Systems Summit, and I am so glad that all of you could attend today. I am proud of how young people across the globe are committing to create a world that provides safe, nutritious, affordable, and environmentally friendly foods for all. Dialogues like this one are a vital part of the Food Systems Summit as they allow an inclusive opportunity for all voices to be heard, not just the voices of those who are already global leaders. Today's dialogue plays an important role in the Food Systems Summit, and particularly to the work being accomplished in Action Track 1. We know that young people bring new and innovative solutions, and I look forward to hearing the outcomes of today's dialogue. I am proud to be serving as the Youth Vice Chair for Action Track 1, which is focused on safe and nutritious foods for all. We are a diverse group of members from 6 continents and represent civil society, operational research, large business networks, and the UN. As you all know, hunger worldwide is a huge problem. The undernourished people continued to increase in 2019, and even before taking COVID-19 into account, hunger was projected to rise. If we do not reverse these current trends, the SDG Zero Hunger target will not be met, and COVID-19 is turning back the clock, reversing the progress made the past 10 years. Throughout these past several months, our team within Action Track 1 has been diligently seeking ideas for game-changing and systemic solutions to address needs around the world in areas of nutrition, food safety, and zero hunger. Action Track 1 aims to end hunger in all forms of malnutrition and reduce the incidence of diet-related, non-communicable disease. Achieving this goal requires that we deliver on the right to food, ensuring that all people at all times have access to a sufficient amount of affordable and safe food. To identify these solutions, we have sought ideas from the public as well as reviewed high-profile international reports and spoke with relevant stakeholders and scholars. Our nutrition, food safety, and zero hunger working groups have worked diligently to review and evaluate the proposed solutions identified through these channels. A first wave of solutions has been submitted to the UN Food Systems Summit Secretariat, and a second wave of solutions is currently under review. Our action track is working to ensure that the solutions we propose are sustainable and actionable, providing real impact at scale for people suffering from a lack of access to safe and nutritious foods. Through our evaluation, we have seen that the most important needs for game-changing solutions are at the country level. This is where the real hard work of design, implementation, impact, and trade-offs are generated and experienced. This is why it's important to the Food Systems Summit to hear from a diverse range of people in countries around the world. You bring a perspective from your individual countries that understands the particular needs, challenges, and strengths of your country. Your important perspectives are vital to the success of the Food System Summit and our ability to achieve zero hunger in Africa and beyond. We want to ensure that everyone has a voice in the summit, and dialogues allow this to happen. Your opinions, lived experiences, and perspectives are necessary to help us all reach our goal of providing access to safe and nutritious foods for all people at all times in all places. Today, I call on you to think critically about how we can improve our food system to create a better, safer world for all. Enter your discussion groups with an open mind and great confidence that your opinions will be heard and valued. Do not let your engagement with the Food System Summit and with addressing hunger needs end here today. And above all, let us not give up or grow discouraged by the important work ahead. It will take hard work to transform our food systems, but when we all work together, we can achieve more than we ever could on our own. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for that inspiring introduction. It is very true, as you have rightly said, and we do agree with you on that. The action track 1 is to ensure safe and nutritious food for all. I think and I believe that having this safe and nutritious food for all should also be a human right, because as we aim to deliver zero hunger, improve the levels of nutrition, and enabling all people to be well nourished and healthy is one of the surest way of having a peaceful coexistence among us. With this beautiful and insightful introduction, thank you so much, our Vice Chair for Action Track 1, Jana Green, for this introduction. Thank you so much. I think once you stay on for a little bit, we will open up the floor for people to also get interactive with you on the way. So please do stay with us, and then we'll get back to you on that. Thank you so much for being here. All right, people, you heard it all on Action Track 1 and why it is critical and ingrediential to the UN Food System Summit, which is coming up. And today, we are happy to collectively get all the ideas, innovative and sustainable and feasible ideas in moving the global market forward. On that score, I would like to bring in another amazing personality. You realize that we've got a lot of female presenters. It is because we ensure that there is gender balance. As we are also pushing for food system, we have to respect equality of all race, color, religion, and people and culture. That is why you can see me in my hat, because I'm a farmer. Thank you, everyone. So, Dr. Fulani, please, you are ready to have the show running. We are happy to have you. I would be much happier if you do your own introduction so that people get to know you intimately. So, Dr. Fulani, if you are here with us. All right, people, as we are trying to get Dr. Fulani back online, let me try and also rehash some of the things that we are going to discuss today. We are going to look at what outcomes we are trying to achieve. That is, we need a food system transformation that is going to move us from hunger to zero hunger. We are going to look at the affordability of healthy diets. We are going to look at safe food, that is foodborne diseases, which causes an estimation of 600 million illnesses. And look at it, this is numbers. We are looking at humans. So today is going to give us the opportunity for us to also talk about all this. So Dr. Fulani, are you back online with us? Perfect. Yes, you can unmute your mic now. Perfect.
Ooh, okay. I seem to have internet connectivity issues. So now I've had to join using my mobile. I don't know if you are able to share my slides.
Okay, just carry on. I will try as much as possible to share the slide for us. Perfect. Okay, it is loading up.
Okay, so when I lost you, just before I lost you, you were saying I should introduce myself.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, my name is Pulani Kosaletsamswela. I'm a lecturer at the University of Botswana. I'm a microbiologist by training who has now switched to environmental quality aspects. So I'm a lecturer with the Department of Environmental Science, and I belong to different organizations that I find time to do work for. The Botswana Academy of Science, I'm the Secretary General there. The Organization for Women in Science in the Developing World, I am the Vice Chairperson of the Botswana National Chapter. The World Youth Summit, I'm the Country Director. I'm also a mother of two and quite passionate about the interface of food systems and the environment. That is it.
Thank you so much, and Dr. Pulani, for that. Let me put up your slide for you now. All right, I think we are good to go.
I'm going to request that I switch off my video because of the connectivity. Is that okay?
Yes,
John?
please. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we are here to talk about access to safe and nutritious food towards zero hunger in Africa. And I must say, I am quite privileged to be here. I actually was feeling a bit under the weather, but thought I cannot miss this because I believe that there's going to be quite rich ideas that come here from youth. But for starters, I just thought we would have a bit of a look at the food system. The next slide, John.
Is this okay? Okay, I think we lost Dr. Pulani again on the line. So we will move on, and then maybe later when everything stabilizes, we will surely have her back because she's got an amazing and creative display of knowledge she wants to share with us, the young ones. So let's do pardon us for this, and then bear with us as others are also facing internet connectivity. So without much ado, let's move on to that. Thank you very much. Dr. Pulani, once you are back online, let us know, and then we will surely get you back on track. Thank you very much. Now, Africa is being impacted by widespread malnutrition, child stunting, food insecurity, diet deficiency related health challenges. So transforming our food systems and ensuring safe and nutritious food for everyone in Africa is crucial. Now, changing the way we grow, we process, we preserve, we transport, we eat and manage food requires joint effort from the young generation who are the future stewards of our planet. Now, the gains of transforming food systems go a long way in enhancing green growth benefits and opportunities for jobs, income, enhanced livelihoods across all the value food chains of the food systems. And most importantly, it also adds to championing and achieving Agenda 2030. That is the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, although enough food is produced in Africa to feed the global population, more than 690 million people go hungry. That is 1 out of 3 suffer malnutrition. And over 2 billion people live on unhealthy diets. Look at the COVID issue that has happened. It has further undermined the food systems and exposed more people to vulnerabilities. Hence, the need to address these challenges is urgent with the aim to develop and deliver a zero hunger and improve the levels of nutrition, enabling all people to be well nourished and well fed. So the objective of today is to create an enabling platform for the youth in Africa and the diaspora to address the issues of agrochemicals on our food, engage in recipes, food promoting traditional food, healthy and nutritious food. Now, we'll go straight to our first question of the day. How can food systems transformation contribute to greater dietary diversity, food safety, and affordability? Without much ado, I will let my panelist, Oluwatosin, who is here, and also Apollo, who is here with us, as well as Dr. Pulani and Jana. We also have here Elizabeth Gulugulu, also here with us, who are going to share their perspectives on this. And also we are going to pick up from the audience as well. So I'll go straight to Apollo, who is here with us, and then to also share his thoughts on the first question of the day. Thank you very much. Yes, please, you can unmute now.
Hello, everyone. As said, my name is Apollo. I'd like to thank you, John, for the brief introduction. So today we're going to discuss about food systems and if they are broken or not. So what is food system? It's the processes that are interlinked from farming all the way to where we eat from the plate. So the question is today, is it broken and how do we fix it? We have challenges that have come up, such as COVID, which has disrupted the ecosystem and how we access the food. Think of it as having a piece of cake. Not everyone has this piece of cake, but we can as much like to have everyone have a piece of cake. So the question you should ask yourself today is, what piece of cake do you have of the pie? And as we think as an individual, we should also think as a group, since all these are interlinked and we are all connected in the food system. So the first question was, how can food system transformation contribute to greater dietary diversity and food safety and affordability of healthy diets? In order to achieve the SDGs, we need to think as a local company as first, and then shift to the global perspective. So how do we think as a local company? We should address zero hunger in our communities, in our households. And by that, we should shift, I think we should shift from having industries which produce and farm foods in the farm, and sorry about that. So we should shift the way we're thinking in terms of having food from the shelves of the supermarkets. We should think of having our own food system in our households. No matter how small your household is, we should think of having hydroponics maybe, or having aquaponics. Those are small ecosystems that are sustainable and that can bring more dietary diversity in the household. So how do we make it more affordable? We should think of public policies that are coming up, and we should address this as a country and get government to talk about how we can actually afford food in the community. Thank you so much for having me, John.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very. I know we are going to come back to you as a nutritionist, where you share more insights on that aspect of what links between the food systems and the nutritionist. So over to you, Dr. Pulani, if you could also share your first introduction on the first question with us. Thank you very much. You can unmute now.
Okay. Thank you, John. And I shall not switch on the camera, and I'll cross my fingers that nothing happens this time. I think I'll merge the two, the introduction that I would have given and a response to the question, one of the questions that has been asked. And as I had already mentioned, in us understanding the food system, we need to appreciate that this essentially, in very simple terms, is all the processes that are involved in keeping us fed. Okay, and in these processes, we have the drivers, we have the practices that lead to outcomes. So essentially, it is pre-production processes down until we consume food in our households. But it does not even just end there. It goes further to food waste management. So how we manage food after we are done consuming it, because this has a very, it has great implications on our sustainability, on climate change, curbing it. So we need to be aware of this. And, some of the drivers of food systems, our food systems include our population growth. And some of these drivers really, put a bit of pressure on our food system. And it does so when our food system is not resilient. So we really need resilient food systems. So as our population is rising, as our perceptions as people change, our social culturalization is changing. Most importantly, as our environment has a lot of pressure on it, that leads to scenarios that are really affecting the whole globe, like climate change. We really need to have food systems that are resilient. We should not forget that policy is a very important part of food systems. And I think and believe that this is where everything starts. So a forum like this one would enable our governments to have evidence-based policy, because from this dialogue, we will get evidence as to the status quo of our food systems. And again, we should also acknowledge the fact that in terms of our food systems, we do have different types. We have the traditional, the modern, and a mix of these two, which would be the intermediate. So as we go along, we need to ask ourselves, which food system do we think we have in our different pockets? But essentially, once we have an efficient food system, this would lead to food security. So why is it important for us to even be talking about a food system? I think the previous speaker touched on this, that our food systems play a key role when it comes to us achieving our sustainable development goals. Not just the one dealing with food security, but we need to also be aware of the fact that it has implications on other SDGs, like the clean water. If we have food systems that are not aware and that do not mitigate against environmental pollution, we then will have contaminated water and therefore would not achieve the SDG that looks at water. Just as an example, when we talk about food systems, especially at the production stage, we also need to be aware of the environmental implications. It can harm our health in different ways. Now, at this point, it's very important for us to be talking about our food systems, to be reflecting on our food systems, and to be definitely improving our food systems due to the different vulnerabilities that our food systems are exposed to. And these are caused by different disruptions, the change in perceptions, change in priorities, change in lifestyles, and emerging issues or situations that we find ourselves in, such as having war. In war-torn countries, they have experienced a certain shift in their food systems. They're vulnerable because of that activity. And the whole globe right now is grappling with COVID-19. So this pandemic definitely has made us vulnerable. It has caused us to go back and think about our food systems. But it also has helped us improve it. So we definitely need solutions. Again, our solutions should be towards a circular economy. They should be integrated and be inclusive, such that we may be able to achieve sustainability and resilience. So there we're talking to environmental sustainability. So what solutions could we have when it comes to us having safe and nutritious food? And for this one, I've entitled it, Take One Step Backward to Go Forward. There's that saying, where we go back to our origins, go back to our indigenous knowledge, our traditional food systems, and borrow what worked. An example would be organic farming. This would be us embracing our culture, and we then merge this with technological advances. John, please do interrupt if I'm taking too much time. I'll try and summarize really. So when we merge these with technological advances, then we begin to come up with solutions against the different results of food systems that are not efficient, against us having reduced access to safe and nutritious food. Okay, so some of these technological advances that we could borrow from would then allow us to not just produce food, but to be able to process food, to be able to preserve food, and to be able to make food accessible, readily accessible. Now, when we speak to, not traditional, but when we speak to the technological advances, this here really is where youth, I think, plays a paramount role, because we are talking about the fourth industrial revolution, and we're talking about how we can be able to salvage our food systems using and improve our food systems using this fourth industrial revolution. And youth is well vested when it comes to these. Think about having edible landscaping. There are places where instead of us having pavements all around, let's have patches of gardens. Instead of us having lawn, let us have food being grown and therefore being accessible to the community within there. This would improve our food systems in that production from food to table, the transportation is not an issue. But one thing that could, and I believe is a great issue, is contamination of the environment. Because our population is increased, there's more pressure to produce more food quicker for more people. So we therefore believe that if we put more fertilizer, then we'll get more good food, which is contrary. So what we need to really do is to look at food systems at production stage and emphasize, especially I think here in Africa, on testing our soil. When you don't test your soil and you just put in fertilizer because you believe you'll get more food, most of this fertilizer, the soil is not able to hold the fertilizer. So it sort of just slips through, it leaches out, and it goes on to contaminate our water. And imagine, water is also an issue. So such things as testing a soil are recommended. But again, is this accessible to just everybody? No, it's not. So what can we do to have safe food, not contaminate our environment without us testing our soil? We have organic farming, using organic fertilizers. They have the same nutrients, but these nutrients take a longer time to decompose, and the concentrations are less. So this is here again where we go back to our indigenous systems, where we now go back to using our organic fertilizers. And this also helps with us dealing with the food that we have not been able to consume. So food waste management, again, here is tackled by us using organic fertilizers. Again, our traditional practices such as conservation tillage, crop rotation, using cover crops begin to help us build rich and resilient soils, and therefore are able to counter climate change. We have the Internet of Things. We have such advancements there where the Internet of Things can be used, such that satellite imagery can be used to monitor, from where you are, you can be able to find out how much fertilizer is in your soil. You can be able to douse fertilizer from where you are. You can have drones. You can have digital farming, where you have drones that administer the needed amount of your pesticides, the needed amount of fertilizer, okay? And therefore using about 90% less chemicals. We also have laser zapping, where you are able to do weed control from where you're sitting using laser, okay? And this works very well for organic farmers. Again, when it comes to digital farming, the list is endless. Robotic soil samplers, you don't need to be at your farm. You don't need to have a lot of people at your farm. You could have drones sampling your soil, and you have real-time monitoring of the farming activities. So in essence, agroecological farming really would help us. Therefore, the last one, which should be the last slide there. There I have a picture. It was recently shared, and it looks at the different foods that we have, our traditional foods in Africa. And here I'd just like to say, for us to have these foods, we had an indigenous food system that worked. And granted, now we have a lot of pressure from population, industrial revolutions and all, but we need to merge these to have a proper functional food system. So I'm excited because youth are pivotal in taking us forward, hence the importance of this forum. So I'm looking forward to being empowered so that we leave no one behind as we propose progressive solutions to reduce hunger. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and Dr. Puani, for that inspiring a double take on food systems, as well as why and what the youth needs to. But then, before we move to the other presenters or panelists, your presentation has actually raised a lot of questions here, which we will go into dialogue right now. Now, the first question is how to facilitate this transformation without putting more pressure on farmers? I will not throw it to you directly, but also to the panelists as well as everyone who is here. So some housekeeping rules. If you want to respond, please use the icon, the hand raising icon, and then I will call out to you. So Lizani is asking how to facilitate this transformation without putting more pressure on the farmers. Who do you want to take this question from Lizani? Who do you want to take this question? Dr. Pulani, would you want to go start first on this?
Okay. Yes, I'll give it a try. So how do we achieve this without putting pressure? I think it's a very relevant question because, you know, most of the things that, for instance, I mentioned in my talk pertaining to digital farming, for example, this really would exert some pressure when it comes to our local food systems. Now, how do we do this? I think, as I mentioned, that policy level or at country level, it's very important for us to start there. Okay, it's very important. And again, pre-production, it's important for us to, or governments, to put in enough money into research activities. Okay, into research activities to find out what would work best within our different ecological settings. And this would then save the individual farmers the pressure of doing this by themselves. So I think it boils down to a policy. It boils down to at the high level country level in governments carrying out research before applying some of these technologies. An example would be right now what happens, Botswana is a semi-arid country. We're struggling now more than before when it comes to agricultural production. Our soils have been overused. So what happens is we have a government system where fertilizer is given to farmers. So imagine your subsistence farmer who all along has been using organic farming. Now they're given this, and these are usually old people. So when they're being given this fertilizer, the soil has not been tested. So what they do is they just maybe are told you take a cup and you put it in there. And as I said, they would then think, okay, this thing's supposed to help me. So if I take 2 cups, it'll help me. And that's when we begin to now pollute and regress our food systems. So if government or there was some intervention on with regards to research, then we would know in our different areas how much of a fertilizer we need, and therefore take the pressure off the individual farmers having to do that work.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pulani, for that. I think your presentation has really it gingered us on a lot of questions here. So, Thomas, you have the floor. Thomas wants to respond to this also. Thomas, please come in.
Sure, thanks. I'll make my comment very brief. What springs to mind, sorry, I think there's an echo. Hold on one second.
Okay, try again now.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes. I think there is an echo from your end.
Does that work better?
Yes.
So just very briefly, I think one of the big problems is risk, and that farmers face all of the risks, but they get relatively little of the benefits. And so for smallholder farmers, underwriting risk, so for instance, their financial risk, and also if they produce too much, that the prices go down of their products. Therefore, price fluctuation throughout the year is a major problem for farmers. So we rely a lot on, especially smallholder farmers, but we don't give them a lot of the benefits. And farmers essentially are entrepreneurs, but their risks that they face are far higher than the benefits that they oftentimes get. And I think a lot of things like providing better types of agricultural insurance, being more bespoke types of public or private sector support, support that could also be subsidized for farmers that can't afford it, and also underwriting contractual agreements between farmers and market aggregation points could also help spread some of that risk, so that the farmers are not the ones always hit if they don't sell as much, or if the produce is too low, or if there's climatic impact. I think that would make not only would it be beneficial for the existing farmers, but I think it would also help attract a lot more young people who would be interested in farming but see it as a very risky business.
Thank you very much for that top up to the question. All right, so let's have Madam Elizabeth in. So she will respond to the question on the floor now and to the main question that has been ongoing. Thank you very much, Madam Elizabeth. A little brief introduction about you. You've been doing a lot of wonderful things. We've seen you in the newspapers. We've seen you in all the press. Please share with us who you are. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, John. It's always a pleasure to be here talking to, a group of young people and also a mixture of the older generation when it comes to tackling issues to do with our food systems. As rightfully indicated by John, I'm Elizabeth Kulugulu. I'm based in Zimbabwe, which is in the southern part of Africa. The previous doctor who spoke, she's my neighbor. I call it the Agriculture Working Group under the Children and Youth Constituency to the UNFSS. I've been doing quite a number of initiatives. I'm particularly interested with the interlinkages of agriculture and climate change. So most of my initiatives and what I'll be talking about today will be related to sustainability when we are practicing our agriculture so that we can have resilient food systems. So first and foremost, just to add on to what everyone has contributed, this is a great platform, by the way. I'm enjoying the discussions. I think the also most important thing when we are talking about food transformations is to make sure that we are leaving no one behind. And by leaving no one behind, we are also making sure that the farmer is involved from the very first. So the farmer needs to understand what exactly we are talking about. So I'm talking about good communications. When it comes even to the farmers, they need to understand the importance of good nutrition. They need to be able to articulate issues to do with food systems. They need to be able, they need to articulate even issues to do with dietary diversity. So it is up to us, in as much as we have all these policies, but we now have to break these policies down in a way that even a farmer, a simple layman who is on the field, doing the work on the field, can actually understand and get to implement what we are trying to achieve. So just to respond to the question, how food system transformation will contribute to, dietary diversity. We have dietary diversity, food safety, affordability, and health diet. So I'm going to tackle it in that order. So when it comes to dietary diversity, you'd find out that in most parts of the world, climate change has been affecting the agriculture sector, also affecting the socio-economic sector. At the end of the day, we do not have diversity foods. So as a solution or as a mitigation or adaptation measures, there are a lot of techniques that have been introduced. I will not dwell more about other techniques that have been mentioned about, like agroecological practices, which is the integration of the scientific knowledge that we have and the indigenous knowledge that we have. But there are also measures that there are also other techniques that have been used so as to improve dietary diversification, dietary diversity. I will talk more about climate smart agriculture. Climate smart agriculture will focus on 3 pillars. The 3 pillars being making sure that we are reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. By reducing greenhouse gas emissions, for your own information, we cannot talk about food safety. We cannot talk about nutritious foods if we do not tackle it first from production level. you find out that we use a lot of chemicals, we use a lot of pesticides. What is it doing to our food systems? At the end of the day, we're eating a lot of foods that are full of chemicals, because most of the time these foods that we eat, maybe even if they take them for lab tests, they do not even check the kind of chemicals that are in there. So you find out that we are eating a lot of chemicals at the end of the day, and this will result in a lot of healthy problems in the near future or in the long term. So if we're talking about reducing greenhouse gas emissions, we are looking at those gases, we are looking at those chemicals that we are using day and again to improve our yields or to improve production. Therefore, we really need to be careful, very, very careful with the way we are practicing our agriculture from production phase. A lot of examples have been given of using organic fertilizers. Yes, that is a good initiative. Yeah, that is a good initiative. Here in Zimbabwe, we're actually working with a company on how we can actually improve organic fertilizers through the use of water hyacinth and cow dung. And it has been working wonders. This is so we reduce the chemicals that are found in our foods. But by so doing, as a way of trying to adapt to climatic changes, you find out that a lot of initiatives have been introduced, and some of the initiatives will be introducing drought-tolerant crops, and some of the initiatives will be introducing other crops, that are drought-tolerant, but trying other crops that might not be grown in that particular region. Here in Zimbabwe, we mainly focus on maize because it is our staple food. But because we have a lot of starch in our diets, there is no diversity. So you find out that as we are trying to adapt, it has also brought in another component of food diversity, because we are now seeing a lot of millet, we are now seeing a lot of sorghum on the market, which we never used to see. But because we are now trying to adapt to climate change, these things are now coming, and they've actually been helpful when it comes to our food diets. At the end of the day, we need to make sure that we have ensured food security. By ensuring food security, this could be household food security, meaning that we are encouraging, whether you're in the rural setup or you're in the urban setup, we are encouraging all people to try and grow their own foods. This has its own advantages, because if you grow your own food, at times you do not even get to use a lot of chemicals, you do not even get to use a lot of fertilizers. At times it is just, food waste that that is coming from your kitchen is the food waste that you're taking to your garden. So this actually improves healthy foods, and this actually improves even the food systems of a certain nation, national food systems or global food systems. Then I'll move next to food safety. After we are done with production, there is that phase of processing. And at times processing, it includes transportation, etc. We are not even sure who is touching our foods, how they are handling their food, even when it comes to food storage, how safe are our foods. So this is also another chain that we're supposed to look into if you're talking about food transformations. We need also to make sure that wherever or however we are, before I say what I wanted to say, this is also another advantage why we need to be able to grow our own foods, because you know that you are the only person who is touching your food. I know you cannot grow all the foods, but this reduces quite a number of diseases or quite a number of things that could actually be prevented in the near future. Then when it comes to affordability, if there is access to food, it means that the food will be affordable. For your own information, from where I stay, food diversity at times, it is actually a luxury to be able to get into a supermarket, buying fruits, etc., because the prices are a bit ridiculous. And most of the times people will prefer buying fast foods instead, because the foods are cheaper. This is what we're experiencing throughout the globe. Healthy foods are quite expensive. Then not so healthy foods are quite cheaper. But if we are talking about, the affordability, then it means that we need to increase or make sure that the farmers have access to finance, access to agriculture finance, which can actually improve their yields, which can actually assist them when it comes to crop diversity, or maybe could it be fruits or etc. Then when it comes to healthy diets, then this depends with the type of farming. What type of farming are we using in order for us to have healthy diets at the end of the day. If it's agroecological practices, then we are guaranteed that at the end of the day, we have good foods that will improve our health. We have good, nutritious food. If we are practicing other kinds of agricultural practices, then this will also contribute to, either an increase or a decrease in healthy diets. But last but not least, you find out that here in Africa, we have issues to do with access to land. And people will tell you that because we do not have land, we are not capable to do this, we are not allowed to do this. But there are always ways, there are always methods, there are always measures we can actually tackle this. It's either you could rent and you could actually improve the type of farming methods that have been done in that previous land before. Someone was talking about the soils. I think the previous doctor who was talking about the soils that are in Botswana. I think this is actually a Southern African problem, that our soils are no longer fertile because we've been applying a lot of fertilizers now and again, Now with the increase in population, I mean, FAO has predicted that maybe by 2050, the world population will be approximately 10 billion. And with the way our soils are, it means that we will not be able to produce more foods to feed the growing population because of the type of agricultural practices that we are doing. Therefore, I would encourage most of us that are here, the farmers or the policymakers, to consider nature-based solutions that are actually helpful, that will actually contribute to sustainable food systems. By nature-based solutions, I'm talking about the simple things like making sure that the pollinator is safe. By making sure the pollinator itself, it means that you need to avoid using pesticides, even the fertilizers that would harm the pollinator. Because by the way, if the pollinator is not there, then it means there is no food, because it actually plays a role in the day-to-day foods that we eat each and every day. So this is actually a nature-based solution. Other nature-based solutions we mentioned previously, the use of organic fertilizers, etc. And we need to continuously support diversification. We need to continuously support healthy foods. Make sure they are attractive. Young people should be attracted to healthy foods, not fast foods. And make sure that if we improve food productivity, if we assist the farmer to grow more diverse food, then the food itself could be affordable at the end of the day. Thank you so much.
This is impressive. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Indeed, your reputation has preceded you and you have delivered on point. In actual sense, we have 4 questions on the board, but you've been able to capture all these in a time-sensitive delivery. Thank you so much, Madam Elizabeth Gulugulu, for this submission on that. Young people should be attracted to nutritious and safe food rather than fast food. This should be a campaign message. Thank you so much for that delivery. So I'll move straight to panelist Oluwatosin to also shed more light on that. Then we will have a vice chair to talk to us about this very question, one on that. Then I think we can also pick a few tidbits from our panelists as well as our participants, especially if respected Sir Floyd Hammer would want to share some few words with us, the young minds. We will really appreciate. So over to you, Oluwatosin. Please do come in.
Jana kushiza mama.
Yes.
Wapenda. Wanyora jeshi.
Okay, so Oluwatosin, please come in. You can unmute now.
Okay, thank you, John.
Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. This is Oluwatosin Ogunshola. I'll just do a brief introduction about myself. Oluwatosin Ogunshola is an agribusiness specialist with interest in fruits and vegetables. And I'm also a soil management researcher in the Federal University of Technology, Akure in Nigeria, with preference for soil fertility and plant nutrition. Likewise, also I'm an advocate, and currently I'm a Global Landscape Forum social media ambassador for 2021. So that's the brief about me. So back to our discussion for today. we are discussing mainly about African food systems. And basically, all the other panelists and speakers have addressed these issues, but most especially on the questions that were being raised and issues. But then I would like to do a caption so that I can buttress some of the few points that I have here. Basically, food, water, and energy are essentials for human. But then we want to stress food today. Food is food as the nutritional component of every crop. So in that case, we are looking at the dietary component of food, as it were. But then some of these dietary components of food are not well communicated and then noted by farmers. But then as a farmer, what we do basically is to grow foods. But we don't go beyond that to understand how nutritious this food, I mean the end product, are. So because on a good day, every farmer is supposed to understand what crop he or she is growing, what nutritional component is that crop supposed to have at the end of the day. That will give a knowledge about what you are supposed to do to make sure you grow the crop to attain what it is. But then over the years, research has shown us that there's a close comparison between soil health or the health of your growing media and the output, that is the produce or the crop, the nutritional component of the crop that's produced at the end of the day. So this information is very vital for farmers to be able to know exactly what management practices and agricultural practices, which when we're talking about global good agricultural practices, to be able to indulge in so that they can be able to limit the usage of fertilizers, agrochemicals. On a good day, it's supposed to follow the trend in which the natural wild varieties of crops follow, so that at least you would be able to grow your crop to attain its nutritional components. Yeah, so going from there, we would also be looking at the decentralization of food supply. This is key for us to have a sustainable consumption, a sustainable food system. Once there's a decentralized food supply, then consumers can begin to close in on the gap between the farm to fork. There's a wide gap of processes in between farm to fork. Farm is where it's being produced, fork is where it is being consumed. So if you can close in on that gap, then we can be able to maximize access and then reduce wastage, so that consumers can have more or less like a direct access to the food, how it's being grown, and where it is grown from, where it's being from. They know all this information, and it's easier for consumers to be able to make their preferences and then close in on these interlinkages, where you have contamination from transport or contamination from processing and all the likes. We can be able to reduce this. So also going forward, we are weighing in on how to have access and affordability of these healthy diets. In our diets daily, it is always good to eat fresh. And eating fresh is more like eating raw. But then how do you get access to this fresh produce? It is mainly from if you're growing foods at your backyard, your back garden, or you have a small setup where you are growing. The idea is this: little drops of water makes an ocean. So if we have smaller units of persons growing what they consume at the family level, or you can have a share where you have a variety of crops growing at your yard, and then you can share with your neighbors and the community. So that same model is transferred to farms. Farms can have the setups around the community where a farm is servicing that community. So you don't have to go all the way transporting your goods out of that community and then bringing it back. But then you can easily, consumers can easily come to the farm or place their order and get the food. So it's easy, it reduces so much of these contaminations and wastes. So going forward, we're also looking at the innovation, how to foster innovation within the food system. Basically, for research purpose and for practice, data is key. Once we have data at our disposal, then it's easy for us to be able to bring out solutions that can help to fizzle out some of the problems and challenges that farmers do face while growing these crops. So like Dr. Pauline was talking about digital farming and the use of drone and Internet of Things. These are key 4IR initiatives that we should start engaging for our African food system. It goes across board, both production, processing, the value chains, and even logistics and transportation. It cuts across board. So these are key things we should start looking at and then start tailoring it to suit consumer preference, because you are producing to make profit and you also want to understand what your consumer needs. Then also going forward, not leaving anyone behind, we're looking at making our food system inclusive of every stakeholder, because we understand there's power on each of our plates, and this inclusion has to go across board to the indigenous people. We have to promote the African fruits, vegetables, and African food, and then have an elaborate menu on the African diet. Yeah, so that we can be able to scale all of this, because once we promote this, then we'll be able to have the stakeholders buying into all of these resources, and they'll be able to push information to each and everyone to broaden the scope of our food system. I mean, now institutionalizing it as African food system, it's easy to communicate when you are projecting African food to African people produced by African farmers than when you are bringing in other staples from elsewhere. Then also looking at the way forward, we are talking about sustainable production and consumption. The SDG 12 is key, yeah, because if your production is not sustainable, then over a time, you won't be able to meet the supply, the demand of the modern supply. And like Elizabeth rightly said, the population is growing at an alarming rate, and there's pressure on farmers to be able to keep up with this pace. But then if we're able to engage sustainable practices, sustainable agricultural practices, to be able to look at how to increase production or improve on our production processes, while also having a climate smart practices in place, so that we can bridge the gap between food production and the environment and the environmental health now. Then in that case, it will be easy for us to get our nutritious diets, nutritious foods to the consumer. That's a right consumption. Then in that case, there will be a sustainable African food system at the end of the day. So it's a whole chunk, it's a whole bulk, a lot of things, but then each of us has our role to play in it. And that's where leaving no one behind as a tag comes into it. So this is the little I want to share, and I will be also available to answer some questions that might crop up from this little summary that I've given.
Thank you very much, respected Oluwatosin, for all those insightful delivery. Now, I think there is a question here for you. So if under 2 minutes, you could talk on this before our vice chair comes in. It says, farmers, if you look at, this is from Debbie, as food moves through the food supply, prices increase, there's a lot of middlemen. the farmers often don't get the financial benefits. What ways can we increase the amount of money for farmers, how much they earn, and still keep the prices affordable at the end for the consumer? If there's any other person who would want to share thoughts on this question, that is fine. But briefly, in less than a minute, if you could touch base on this question for us before you go, please. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the question. It has been, among researchers, really, it has been a growing debate where we are viewing the real cost of food. Are we actually putting the right prices on food, as it were? But to a large extent, the answer is no. Why? Because food is an essential commodity. So as much as you incur a lot of cost along the production chain or the value chain, as it were, you also want to produce at a price that is relatively affordable for the consumer, so that you don't put prices and then you will be hindering other members of the community from having access to quality food, and that it's not good for humanity. So basically, if there could be some relief, there could be some stakeholder inclusion partnership from a number of organizations or the government or farmers associations and the likes, either through input or through agri-finance or through whatever palliative or whatever mayor or through investment, then we can begin to have a knowledge share, and we can begin to have a better way of having this done, so that at least we can keep the price steady all year round as we produce along the line. And then everyone is able to consume what they want at when they want it and at a very good quality.
Thank you very much for that insightful response to that. But then don't go away. I think another question has come in. Can it be said that this low income for farmers is the brain behind hybrids with better yield? This is from Rachel.
Well, for me, basically, farmers have been growing crops, business as usual. And that's why we have a lot of issues of low income on the livelihood of farmers. But then it's high time the African farmers begin to treat agriculture as a business. Like any other business, agriculture is a business. So if you're treating agriculture as a business, the practice is there, but then you also include the business hand to it. That's when it's going to get the right investment. That's when you'll be able to maximize your production and scale accordingly, for you to be able to improve or increase or enhance your livelihood along the line, as it were in other parts of the world where farmers are key stakes in the GDP of the nation. And that's what we are actually pushing for. And we'll be doing some other works around this, but then it's still like at a slow rate, but then we know we'll get there. We're pushing on to it. So that's key. That's key. We need to put together the business side of agriculture with the practice.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you so much. Okay, so now let's go have our vice chair for Action Track 1 to sum it up for us in this question. How do we then strengthen innovation and partnership so that the youth can be an integral part of the whole food systems? Madam Jana, if you are there with us, can you please throw some light on this before you finally leave us? You've been unmuted now. All right, okay. So before she comes back online to ask. I will throw this question for everyone here, participants. How do we strengthen innovation and partnership so that the youth becomes an integral part of this food systems? So if you want to speak, please use the hand raising, and then I will unmute you. Or let me just call out a few people to share their thoughts on it. Lisani, if you would want to share thoughts on that, are you there with us? You've been asked to unmute.
Yes, do you hear me?
Perfect.
So could you repeat the question, please?
Okay.
So how to connect people, right?
Yes. So how do we connect the youth through innovation and partnership for the food systems?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's important for the youth to see the benefit. So for instance, in the Netherlands, I'm now involved in setting up a youth initiative where the youth can be combined and can share their ideas about the food system. And what I mainly see is that they are busy, they want to have it fast, quickly, but they do like to be in nature. So I think it's important to show them the benefits of nature and also what it can do, for example, to their, what positive impact it can have on their money. Because yeah, it's also something that I often see that they say like it's very expensive. And I think, yeah, that's really important to make it easy for them to like share their ideas and feel heard, because that's also what I often hear, that they share their ideas but there's nothing done with it, so that they lose their energy, lose their lose the opportunity, or for mostly the energy to stay active. So listen and do something with it, what they say. I think is also very important. And online, I think also because the youth is very active online now, so to keep them involved, use variety of online platforms, I think.
That's great. Thank you so much, Lisani, for that submission on that. We really appreciate your time and then being here with us. And thank you also for being a food systems hero. Floyd, would you want to add a few points to the discussion ongoing?
Yes, greetings from America. We've worked in Tanzania, East Africa since 2004 as an NGO. And as I listen to the comments that have been made, I think Thomas, and I'm not sure the pronunciation, Tishal, probably touched on the very core of changing food systems, at least from the perspective that I've witnessed in Tanzania. The smallholder farmer does bear the brunt of any technological shift. If he tries something and it fails, his family dies. It's just that simple. It's very difficult to make a change. Everything begins with water, as one of your speakers has said. That water has either good or it's not good, but without the water, you're dead. So it has to begin in that place with potable water so that people can actually work the land. There then has to be focus on a very, very small areas. What are the traditional practices? Because you are not going to have enormous change. You're going to make incremental changes in traditional practices. It's like dropping a pebble in a pond. If you get one successful farmer who demonstrates, his neighbor sees it, I am not the least bit worried about having overproduction, because we've got a lot of people that are hungry. So I think we need to focus. We need to have demonstrations, and we do need to get young people involved, but don't forget us old people, because we're the ones with money and we've made the mistakes. So I guess that's it.
Thank you very much, Floyd, for that submission. We really appreciate your time and rich insights now. So let's move on to our vice chair. Let's see if she's back online with us. Jania, are you back with us? All right, I think she's not back. There is a question here. Yes, it's true. Floyd really gave a very beautiful insight. I like that too. So how do you see the role of youth farmer network contributing to the food system approach? This is a question from Babette. This is a question from Babette. Who would want to take this question? Dr. Hassan, would you want to share thoughts on the subject? Ambassador Dr. Hassan. Okay, so anyone from the participants, just raise your hand if you would want to answer the question that is here. It says, how do you see the role of a youth farmer network contributing to the food system approach? Anyone to shed light on here? Or any of our panelists in a brief 1 minute? Apollo and Elizabeth, would you want to take this question? Perfect. Dr. Pulani has, okay, Dr. Pulani, over to you.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, please. And then Elizabeth will come in.
Yes, just a quick one. I don't know whether I'll be answering it efficiently, but I'll use an example of something that has just happened in Botswana when pertaining to youth farmer networks. Now, as one of the speakers said, you know, when it comes to youth, they want results quickly and they want good results all the time. And so when it comes to farming, you really need patience. So what happens is, again, our youth are not really into the traditional farming system where you go and stay at the farm without the amenities. So what has happened here is that one person created a youth farmer network where they are responsible for farming, but the risk is shared amongst all the contributors. So they contribute financially and then he does the farming and they share the risks as well as the gain. Someone is coming in, but yeah, that is just what has been done in Botswana. That's all.
Yes, Ambassador Dr. Hassan. Dr. Pulani will land soon, and then you come in with your submission. Thank you.
So can you repeat, because I didn't get you well?
Okay, so we were looking at the question, how do we strengthen innovation and partnership so that the youth become integral part of the food systems?
1 second, because you know, we have storm on our side. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
1 second. Okay, so how do we see?
How do we strengthen innovation and partnership so that the youth become an active part or an active player of the food systems?
Yes, we believe it's a long question and it needs a long description on that. But we believe that going into parliamentary laws, adjusting some local laws that could permit to join more and more the civil societies into the agriculture system, finding also a means of financial loans with a low rate also, or even with a grace period of interest that could permit to use to go into their private business and establish sort of sustainable development goals under the SDG 2 to cut off the SDG 1 and to bring it to its lowest ratio.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's a good submission on that. So So what do you say the way forward for food systems? What do we do now? What do we do?
Still to me the question?
What is the way forward for the food systems? What do we do so that everyone takes part of it?
So that everyone takes
a part of it.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, doctor, can you hear me? All right, so we'll come back to Ambassador Dr. Hassan. Caroline, would you want to add a few take on this whole dialogue? Caroline, and then Jane Tanaka, I've asked you to unmute. Would you want to share insights, brief insights on that? The floor is open. Let me try our vice chair if she's back online. Jana, are you back with us? Okay, so let's move on. Any other person? Maria Ngutu, and then Rachel. Would anyone want to add a few? It's an open dialogue, so that is why I am calling out. We have Brenda. Anyone would want to? Okay, so Rachel is saying that there would be better understanding of matters, better participation, and reduced risk, reduced food loss, and reduced food waste, thereby increasing income. That is very good. Thank you so much, Rachel, for your submission on that. Now, before we wrap it up, would there, if anyone, okay, there are two participants with their hands up. Let's go back to our panelists, Elizabeth and Apollo, to give their few closing remarks before we bring in Madam Esther Wanza. So Elizabeth, over to you.
Thank you so much, John. I think I wanted to respond to the question that was talking about how youth can contribute into the food systems, if it's okay.
Yes, please do.
Okay, so I think the most important thing that we need to consider as young people is how do we want to contribute, where? Because the food systems value chain is too big and too long. So if it is production, how do you want to contribute in production? If it's innovation, how do you want to contribute in innovation? I give you an example that we are a group of young people from Zimbabwe, and as a way of replacing the fertilizers that we're using where our offices are, we decided to come up with some sort of research on trying to use water hyacinth, which is an invasive alien species, making organic manure using water hyacinth and a mixture of cow dung. This is some sort of innovation. So we've been working on this and the results has been amazing. So in terms of innovation, there are a number of things that young people can be innovative about when in the agricultural space. We also have young people that are into processing. How do you want to contribute? Are you going to add value to the processing of the foods that you're doing? Are your food going to be nutritious, etc.? Even when it comes to distribution, we have young people that are also the middle person themselves. I mean, that are also part of this meeting. But how are they going to make sure that even as they transport their foods from the farmer to the market, how is that food going to be safe? How is that food going to be stored? So each and every person has a role to play. So long you're a young person, there is your space in the agriculture value chain, and you have a role to play when it comes to sustainable food systems. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, so let's have Noel Saweto to come in with let me unmute. Where are you? Okay, so Noel, over to you. You can unmute now. After that, then Mr. Apollo Karuga comes in. So Noel, over to you.
Hi, John. How are you?
Yes, we are fine. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yes, I wanted to talk about the question that you asked earlier on and input my contributions from my country, Zimbabwe, what they have been doing. The question you asked earlier on was on issues to do with how to improve how can food system transformation contribute to greater dietary diversity, food safety, and affordability of a healthy diet? The first thing that we are doing in Zimbabwe, we had what we call the Kumbudza project policy that was implemented, which means in English, it stands for produce. So what they have been doing is giving free input to sustainable farmers so that they can improve their yield and improve their development in terms of food and production. And also the policy that we have now for the youth in Zimbabwe that has been implemented, where the youth are being guaranteed 25% within any sector or field or industry that they want to take in. That is farming, mining, as well as entrepreneurship. And we have what we call the Youth Empowerment Bank, where they've been giving funds and loans to engage in various projects, but mainly the project that they've been mainly engaged in, that they've been supporting, is agriculture. And as well as we now have what we call the land redistribution.
I think we lost your audio. It's a little breaking there. So if you could put both the question and submission in the chat, maybe it should be much better for everyone. So before Madam Esther comes in, let's have a final word from Apollo, and then Madam will come in to wrap it up for us. So Apollo, over to you. You can unmute now.
Thank you so much, John, for having me. So we need to change our way of thinking from the old way to a new way, that is from the conventional ways to alternative food systems. It has proven that if we involve the youth in farming and throughout the value chain, the value chain will be more resilient to shock, such as COVID-19. Last year, we had a platform for the youth to participate in. Actually, the theme of the year was about health price, was to reduce, was to check if the food system was broken or not. And introducing such systems to the youth will actually improve our way of thinking, and actually we will get to move forward from the stagnation that we are in. Also, we can harness the power of digital innovation to link producers with consumers by promoting the adoption of digital solutions, such as online platforms, where the youth can use those skills they learn from school to actually come up with companies and NGOs that address issues that we are facing here in Africa and in Kenya. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you very much, Apollo Karuga, for all your insights. He's actually a professional nutritionist, so it's really a privilege hearing his part of submission from here. Thank you so much. So without much time, let's welcome Madam Esther here. Over to you, Madam Esther Wanza.
Okay, thank you so much, John. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this dialogue. We've had insightful engagements, and I'm grateful for the points from different panelists and attendees who've joined this dialogue. And really learned a lot from different parts of Africa, from those who shared their experiences, what they're doing, and all that which is happening in different parts of Africa in regards to our food systems. Mine is just a little contribution on what is happening in our continent in regards to to the food systems, and that is in terms of how different marginalized groups are suffering due to poor nutritional value of the food they consume. You find that different communities or groups, or let me say people in African continent undergo different challenges in terms of in regards to the nutrition, malnutrition, and all other aspects of obesity, and a lot of diseases which people have due to the lack of good nutrition and access to safe food. Like I'll give a good example in my country, Kenya, where you find most pastoralists in the northern part of Kenya rely on meat and products as their food due to lack of, they don't have any other form of food. That's what they have grown up knowing, that's what they consume as their diet. But they have large, spaces, land which is uncultivated. And as one of the panelists suggested, we need to look into ways where we can implement climate smart agriculture activities, and also look into aspects of how we can integrate technologies such as renewable energy into our farming methods, such that even those groups know how to convert their land into something which is substantial and productive, to be able to diverse their diets and their meals so that their livelihoods is also improved, and also the access to nutritional value is increased. The other bit of how youth can contribute in this process, I believe the youths have the knowledge, we have the skills, and most of the farmers in our communities, which, who do the real production of these foods, do not have the skills. So it's our responsibility to educate these people, to support these people in their farming methods. Like Dr. Plane suggested about the chemicals used in production of this food, it's our responsibility as youth to advise them and help them into other traditional or efficient ways which they can use in producing their food, so that we can ensure the food we consume is safe for us all. The other bit is about looking into the food which is prepared. How many chefs do we have in African continent who know how to produce the traditional food, Africa diets, culinaries, recipes, which our panelists shared. There are diverse diets in our African continent, and I believe not many people know how to prepare these foods. So it's our responsibility or mandate as youths to show people how best to prepare this food, to avoid the issues of food poisoning, and to ensure that every food which is consumed by people in our African continent is balanced and is also contributing to our health positively. About the issue of youths, how can youths be involved? Contribute in innovation and partnership. I believe the youths have done a lot. They come up with many inventions, innovations. We have youths in businesses who have businesses in these value chains. But now, what of the stakeholders involved in these processes? The policymakers, what have they done to support the youth? So it's the time we come together as youths with one voice, so that the stakeholders involved in policy making, in supporting, in the making decisions for the food system transformation can involve also our voices, our decisions, and also to make sure that our voices are heard in the final decision making of the summit process. Let the actions which will be derived from the summit, we have a third from the youth. and also the women group. I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much, John, for moderating this session. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Esther Wanza, for that remarkable submission on that. She is actually a focal point, African focal point in terms of the UNFSS. So you can always reach out to her. She will guide you and then explain more into details how to also become a food systems hero or to be part of the African level in terms of the food systems dialogue. Thank you so much. Now, I know we spent much time, so all I want to say is this dialogue, the outcome of this dialogue and discussion is to contribute to the overall preparation and the overall framework of the United Nations Food Systems Summit 2021. And by the end of the dialogue period, stakeholders, participants, I know we would have identified practices, policies, and innovative solutions that will have the greatest impact on the achievement of the desired future vision within our local food systems. On that much, I want to thank you so much, everyone who has made it possible for us to be here. You are the reason we are here. And I want to appreciate each and every one of you who has made it possible here. Thank you so much, Madam Esther Wanza, panelist Apollo. Thank you so much, Dr. Pulani, Madam Elizabeth Kulukulu from Yongo. Thank you also to Floyd Hammer for his contribution, and also all the way from Nigeria, and our farmer and agribusiness specialist, Oluwa Tosin Ogunsola. If you want to be tomatolized, he is the right source you need to reach out to. And also, thank you so much, Madam Bashiru. Yes, my wife is also here with us. I do appreciate the home support. Thank you so much, Prince, Rachel, my very good best friend, and Samni, also from Nigeria, Teddy, who also just joined us, a very wonderful person here, Brenda, Deborah, Franco, Kevin, and then Len Moore. It's been a wonderful experience here with us. I would like to also let you know that we are going to do this every Friday at the end of every month, the last Friday of every month. So please keep an eye out for us and then kindly join us. Thank you so much also, Pius and Prince, Adzanku, all of you for joining our session. And Mike, thank you also. We do appreciate you, and then the Vice Chair, Youth Vice Chair, Jana Green, all the way from US, and also an award recipient in her field of agriculture and youth and volunteerism. My name is John Agri, Food Systems Hero. I'm also with UNEP MGCY, as well as the African Facilitators, and also the CEO and founder of Hyde Council. Thank you and have a blessed weekend ahead of you. Cheers. God bless you. Bye-bye for now. Yes, and if you would want to have a group picture, please put on your camera. Let's have a very quick group photo, please. Let's have a very, please everyone. Let me see, oh, did I get this right? Hold on, please. Hold on. Okay, everyone, so let's have our photo now, all camera on, and then next, let's smile, be a food systems hero. Okay, this is perfect, I love that. Thank you. And also thank you very much all the way from Southern Africa, Madam Mariam Kabamba. She's also the founder and executive director of SEN. So please, if you also are looking at tree planting and all the interaction interaction that come with it, you can always enrich it. Thank you so much, Pius, Zimbe. You guys have been amazing. Thank you, and bye-bye for now.